Now is the time for Section 1. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Handy Fix, Tim Carter speaking.
Hello, Mr. Carter. This is Amanda Bennett. I'd like to arrange some repair and decorating work in my flat.
Certainly, Miss Bennett. Let me take down some details. First, how did you hear about Handy Fix?
I saw your advertisement in the West Side Gazette. It was the one about emergency repairs.
Oh yes, the newspaper ad. Good to know. And can I have your full name, please?
It's Amanda Bennett.
Could you spell your surname for me?
Of course. Bennett.
Thank you. And what's your address?
I live at Westwood Heights, apartment 8.
Westwood Heights, apartment 8. Is that on Oak Street?
Yes, it's the block right behind the Riverside supermarket.
Got it. And your telephone number?
It's 01452-876543, but I'm usually out most mornings.
So would afternoons be better for us to ring you back?
Definitely. Anytime after 2 p.m. is fine.
Perfect. Now, parking around Westwood Heights can be tricky. Where would you advise I leave my van?
I recommend the loading bay beside the supermarket entrance. It's usually free after midday.
Excellent. And do you need a detailed estimate?
Yes, please. A full itemized quote listing each job and the prices.
Before we continue, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10.
No problem at all. Now, which jobs would you like us to do?
First, there's a chipped tile in the kitchen floor that needs replacing.
You mean remove the damaged tile and fit a new one?
Exactly, and as soon as possible.
I can come by tomorrow morning to replace that tile. Is 9 a.m. okay?
That's perfect. Thank you.
What else?
In the kitchen again, the ceiling paint over the sink is peeling badly and needs repainting.
Right. Paint the ceiling above the sink.
Yes.
To do a proper job, I'd have to strip off the old flaky paint and plaster it about 2 weeks before painting.
That makes sense. We can schedule that well in advance.
Anything else in the flat?
Yes. In the living room, the main ceiling light is flickering. I'd like the wiring and the fixture checked and repaired.
Okay. Test and repair the light fitting, possibly replace the bulb or rewire. I can look at that when I'm in tomorrow.
Thanks.
Any outdoor work?
Yes. At the back garden, the shed door is sagging. It needs replacing.
One shed door replacement. Got it.
That's everything for now.
Great. So I'll pop round tomorrow at 9 a.m., assess the jobs, and email you an itemized quote in the afternoon.
That's exactly what I need. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Miss Bennett.
See you then. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of Section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now is the time for section 2. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to Willow Creek Heritage Village, a place where visitors can explore over 8 centuries of rural life. The village is perfect for families, with many activities and attractions that let you experience the past firsthand. From traditional crafts and farming methods to children's games and old-fashioned school lessons. Willow Creek is situated in a quiet valley alongside the slow-flowing Willow River. The village originally grew up here because the river provided a reliable water source and a means to transport goods to nearby markets. About 800 years ago, a small trading post was established near the riverbank, where merchants exchanged local produce and crafts. Over the centuries, Willow Creek expanded steadily as farming and small-scale manufacturing flourished. By the late 18th century, the village had become a centre for wool production. Local farmers raised sheep whose wool was woven into cloth by village artisans. This thriving wool trade brought wealth and led to the construction of larger homes and a new market square. Demand for woolen goods grew considerably during the Industrial Revolution, making Willow Creek one of the busiest rural hubs in the region. However, the 20th century brought challenges. Mechanization in farming and textiles reduced the need for manual labor, causing many families to move away to cities. The village's old buildings were neglected, and many workshops and mills closed down. To prevent Willow Creek from fading into obscurity, a community trust was formed to protect and restore its historical sites. Volunteers worked tirelessly to clear overgrown areas and survey the remaining structures. They collaborated with historians and architects to recreate the village as it would have appeared in the early 1800s. Today, visitors can explore the beautifully restored heritage village, which gives a fascinating insight into rural life of the past.
Before we continue, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
When you arrive at Willow Creek, your first stop should be the old mill. Here you can see the water wheel that powered the grinding stones and watch live demonstrations of grain being milled into flour, just as it was done hundreds of years ago. The mill building is well preserved but has uneven stone floors and low doorways, so please be careful if you have mobility difficulties. Next, head to the blacksmith's workshop, where traditional metalworking tools are displayed alongside live forging demonstrations. Visitors can try their hand at simple tasks under supervision. Children should be supervised closely due to the presence of hot metal and heavy tools. Don't miss the village schoolhouse, where classrooms have been arranged as they would have been in Victorian times. A notable feature is the extensive collection of old educational games and toys displayed in one room. To get the most from your visit, we strongly recommend joining the regular guided tours. These tours provide detailed explanations and stories about the school's history and the daily routines of children from past centuries. Nearby, you will find the Lady Anne, a historic sailing barge once used to transport goods along the Willow River. Visitors are welcome to board and explore the cabins and deck. Interestingly, the original steering tiller was lost for decades, but was recovered from the riverbed just 5 years ago by local divers and has since been restored to its proper place. Please note, the ladders to the lower decks are quite steep and narrow, so we advise caution, especially with young children. We hope your visit to Willow Creek Heritage Village is enjoyable and that you leave with a deeper appreciation of the hard work and creativity of those who lived here before us.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now is the time for section 3. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi Ben, have you got a moment? I wanted to talk about the group project for our environmental studies class.
Sure, Lucy. I'm glad you brought it up. I've been thinking about it too. Do you know which topic we should go for?
I was leaning toward urban green spaces. It seems like a good fit because it ties in ecology, urban planning, and public health.
Yeah, I agree. And there's quite a lot of recent data we can use. We could look at how urban green spaces affect people's well-being, like reducing stress or encouraging physical activity.
That's a great idea. We could maybe do some surveys ourselves, ask people how often they visit parks and how it affects their mood.
We could, but that might take a lot of time. What if we use existing surveys or government data?
Good point. We can use that for the quantitative part and maybe do a few interviews for the qualitative side.
Perfect. Now, how should we divide the tasks? I'm happy to do the literature review. I enjoy digging into journals.
Okay, then I'll handle the data analysis. I've got that new software on my laptop that could make it easier.
Oh, right, SPSS?
No, I actually prefer RStudio. It's more flexible and I'm more used to it.
Sounds good. Do you want me to prepare the presentation slides as well?
Sure, but let's make them together at the end. It'll help us stay consistent with our message.
True. And what about writing the final report?
We could split it into sections. I'll do the methodology and analysis, and you can write the introduction and conclusion.
Deal. Now, about sources. Should we use that report from the National Environment Agency?
Definitely. It's reliable and up to date. We should also include academic papers from the last 5 years.
Before we continue, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 27 to 30.
And newspaper articles?
Only if they're relevant. Maybe one or two about recent park projects in urban areas.
Got it. Now, let's set some deadlines. When should we finish the first draft of the literature review?
How about Friday next week? That gives you a week. I'll need until Sunday to complete the analysis, though.
Fine by me. We can meet on Monday to compare and adjust, and we should aim to complete the report by the 20th.
Agreed. That gives us enough time for proofreading and feedback. Should we ask Dr. Maxwell for feedback before submitting it?
Yes, good idea. He said he'd be happy to look at drafts if we give him at least 4 days.
Perfect. Now, about the interviews, should we each do 2 or one of us do all 4?
Let's each do 2. It'll give us different perspectives. We can use a standard set of questions so the results are easier to compare.
Makes sense. I'll write the interview questions and send them to you tonight.
Great. Also, how should we store the data? Google Drive?
No, let's use the university's research drive. It's more secure and automatically backed up.
Good thinking. Should we put everything in one folder and label each file by type?
Yes, with clear file names like interview transcript Lucy 01 and literature review draft Ben.
Excellent. One last thing. Referencing. Are we using APA or Harvard?
Dr. Maxwell wants APA, so we should stick with that.
All right, I'll use a reference manager, maybe Zotero.
I'm using Mendeley, but we can export both into APA style.
Perfect. I think we're all set then.
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident now. Thanks, Ben.
No problem. Let's keep each other updated as we go along.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now is the time for section 4. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to explore an exciting topic in environmental science, vertical farming. This is a modern solution that aims to tackle several pressing issues, including food security, land scarcity, and environmental degradation. So, what is vertical farming exactly? Simply put, it refers to growing crops in stacked layers, often in controlled indoor environments. These can be located in warehouses, high-rise buildings, or even shipping containers. Unlike traditional farming, which depends heavily on vast stretches of land and favourable weather, vertical farming uses hydroponic or aeroponic systems, meaning plants grow in nutrient-rich water or mist without soil. Now, this method has gained traction due to its many benefits. First and foremost, it requires significantly less land than conventional agriculture. For countries with limited arable land like Singapore or Japan, vertical farming provides a promising way to grow more food locally. In fact, studies have shown that vertical farms can produce up to 10 times more food per square metre compared to traditional farming. But the advantages don't stop there. Because vertical farms are located indoors, crops are protected from adverse weather conditions such as droughts, floods, and storms. This stability allows farmers to grow crops all year round with predictable yields. Moreover, indoor farming greatly reduces the need for pesticides, since the environment is carefully controlled. One of the major challenges that vertical farming addresses is water consumption. Traditional agriculture uses vast quantities of water, often more than necessary. In contrast, vertical farms use up to 90% less water due to their closed-loop systems, where water is recycled and reused. This is a game changer, especially in regions facing severe water shortages. Now, let's talk about energy. A big criticism of vertical farming is that it relies heavily on electricity, especially for lighting. Since sunlight doesn't reach most indoor farms, artificial lighting, usually LED, is essential for plant growth. Some critics argue that the energy use offsets the environmental benefits. However, recent advances have made LED lights more energy efficient, and many vertical farms are turning to renewable sources, such as solar or wind power, to operate more sustainably. In terms of labour, vertical farms offer automation opportunities. Robots and AI-powered systems can monitor plant health, adjust nutrients, and even handle harvesting. This reduces the need for manual labour, though it also raises questions about job displacement in the agricultural sector. Another interesting point to consider is how vertical farming can help reduce food miles, the distance food travels from farm to plate. In many urban areas, food has to be transported hundreds or thousands of kilometres. Vertical farms can be built right in the city, even in supermarkets or schools. This means fresher food and reduced greenhouse gas emissions from transportation. Critics, however, warn that vertical farming isn't a complete replacement for outdoor farming. It's currently best suited for leafy greens and herbs, crops that grow fast and don't need much space. It's still not cost-effective or technologically feasible for grains or root vegetables on a large scale. So, what about the future? Well, vertical farming is still evolving. Researchers are working on improving plant genetics specifically for indoor environments. Companies are investing heavily in new technologies, and governments are beginning to offer subsidies. Some experts believe vertical farming will become more mainstream in the next 10 to 15 years, particularly in regions struggling with climate change and food imports. Finally, let's not forget the educational and community aspect. Vertical farms are being used in schools and community centres to teach children about sustainability, healthy eating, and science. They offer a hands-on experience that can spark lifelong interest in food systems and environmental stewardship. To wrap up, vertical farming is not a magical fix to all our food problems, but it's certainly a promising innovation. With continued improvements in technology and increased public support, it may soon become a major part of how we feed our growing population in a sustainable way. That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.